We're getting ready to brew our first ever Hazy IPA. So because it's my first Hazy IPA, I've done a fair bit of research into it. I've taken a look at some of the things that make good and bad Hazy IPAs. One of the things I want to do to make the brew day easier is take advantage of the RAPT integration of my brewhouse and my fermentation chamber. Because the Brewzilla Gen 4 and the Kegland fermentation chamber are both integrated into the RAPT ecosystem, you can control them by creating profiles. Then you download those profiles to the equipment and run those profiles on your brew day. And they take care of all of the timings around the mash in, the mash timing. They let you know when it's time to sparge. The only thing that they really don't do for you is add your hops. Creating a profile is pretty simple, but why don't I just show you how it's done?
Okay, so adding a new profile. The type is going to be a Brewzilla. And I'm going to call this Hazy IPA. Oh, they've changed the interface on me. Okay, so we've got a new step, and it is called mash in, dough in, whatever you want to call it. It's going to heat to the target temperature, which is going to be 69, dude. Go to next step when I press a button on the device. Okay, so what I want it to do is heat up to 69 and just wait there. When I'm ready, I'll mash in. I'll get rid of any dough balls that are in there, and then I'll press a button. I think it's either the up or down button that you can press on the device panel. That then starts or moves to the next step in the profile. Now you can set alerts as well. So the alert here, I'm going to set when the specified temperature is reached. 69. Alert message is 69, dude. Pop a message in the comments if you know that reference. Okay, so now I'm going to add another step, a second step. And this step is going to be called mash. And it's going to target temperature of 67. Go to the next step. When the timer's finished, start the timer as soon as the steps. So what we don't want to do is wait around while the temperature drops. So it's a 60-minute mash. That's all we want it to go for. So we don't want to count the time that it takes to drop in temperature and hit 67. So I'm just going to start the step straight away, and it'll go to the next step after 60 minutes. And the alert is going to be at the end. It's going to see mash complete. Then I'm going to add another step, which is mash out. Target temperature 75. That's going to denature the enzymes. Go to next step. There isn't going to be a next step. Start the timer when the target temperature is reached. So that gives us that ramp. So it's mashing at 67. It's going to take a little while to hit 75, and I don't want to count that time as part of the step. And so as soon as it hits 75, it'll start a 10-minute timer. And then I want an alert when the step ends. And the alert message will be mash out finished. And that's how easy it is to create a mash profile in Brewfather. So then I save the profile, and I can't do it at the moment because my Brewzilla is turned off. But what I can do is on the Hazy IPA, I can say download it to my Brewzilla. And that will be the profile sitting on the Brewzilla waiting to go on brew day. Now I can't do it at the moment because the Brewzilla is not turned on, but I will do that as part of my preparation for the brew day. Now we want to create another profile as well, don't we? This time it's going to be a fermentation profile. And I'm going to call this Hazy IPA Firm. I'm so creative. So we're going to add a new step, and the new step will be pitch. And it's going to heat or cool to the target temperature of 18. Go to the next step when the target temperature is reached. As soon as it drops down to 18 degrees, it's going to go to the next step. Or when that step finishes, I want an alert saying pitch the yeast, and it might help if I could spell. So that's us hitting pitching temperature. The next step is going to be primary fermentation. It's going to heat or cool to 20 Celsius. Go to the next step when the timer is finished. Start the step as soon as it starts. I'll start the timer as soon as it starts. And we are going for days of 7. So it's going to be in primary fermentation for 7 days. As soon as it gets to the end of primary fermentation, it's then going to start the next step. It's also going to give me an alert when the step ends. And that alert is going to be time to dry hop. Add a new step. The new step is going to be called secondary fermentation. Heat or cool. I'm going to call it secondary crash or soft crash. Cool to 16 Celsius. Go to the next step when the target temperature is reached. And alerts is going to be when the step ends. And it's going to be time to dry hop. Now that I've added this, I need to go back and adjust the message, the alert, for primary. So the alert here told me time to dry hop. I'm just going to say soft crashing for dry hop. So that's going to do the soft crash. It's going to, as soon as it hits 16 degrees, it's going to send me a message saying time to dry hop. And then it goes on to the next step. And this step is going to be secondary fermentation. And it is going to be target temperature of 16. Go to the next step when the timer is finished in 5 days. It's going to maintain 16 degrees Celsius for 5 days while we dry hop. Of course, there's still manual intervention required. I need to actually release the hops. Another step after the 5 days, this is going to be cold crash. Target temperature of 1. Start the timer when the temperature is reached. Go to the next step when the step timer is finished. Duration is going to be 2 days. So alerts. So once we've finished here, did I put an alert? No, I didn't. When the step ends, the alert message is going to be, it doesn't matter where I put the alert. I could put it at the end of this step or at the start of the next step, personal preference. So we're cold crashing. We've got the message. It starts to cold crash, drops the temperature to 1. Now, when I get to this step, so when the step timer starts, when the target temperature is reached, I want an alert. When the step starts, when the temperature is reached, temperature of 1. No, when we get down to 2, to give me a little bit of warning, alert message will be dump the hops. I want to be told or reminded to dump the hops out of the fermenter so that we don't start to get that vegetal note. Then I'm going to add another alert when the step ends, saying time to package. Now, of course, it's 60 litres going into the fermenters. I'm going to lose a little bit to dry hopping, but I'm going to end up with quite a lot of beer, more than 2 kegs worth. Now, when I package, I'm mostly going to be putting this into kegs. I'll have 2 kegs worth. I'm going to put maybe 4 bottles and bottle condition them. And the rest, depending on how much is left over and if I've got a spare keg, I'll throw that into a keg, like a little, it'll only be a small keg, maybe 5 litres or 10 litres worth, depending on how much is left. I'm going to pressurize that and then throw that into cans. So I'll have some takeaways as well. Now, let's go back to our primary fermentation step. Now, I've set this up to run off a timer. What if I don't want to run it as a timer? What if it finishes fermenting in 5 days? I don't want it to sit around at 20 Celsius for 5 days. Not that it's going to impact it badly, but you do have it sitting on the yeast cake, and I want to get rid of some of that yeast as soon as I can, so that when I dry hop, I'm not dry hopping onto yeast. I'm going to go to the next step when a target gravity is reached, and that gravity is going to be 1.016. Okay, so primary fermentation starts when we reach 20 Celsius. When the target gravity hits 1.016, I'm then going to get a message saying soft crashing for dry hop. So in the soft crash step, it's going to cool to 16, and then I get an alert saying time to dry hop. So I'm going to remind myself here, time to dump yeast and dry hop. So I put a reminder in there just in case I forget to dump the yeast. And that is as simple as it can get. We save that.
And that's all there is to it, really. Having the RAPT ecosystem there to help on brew day is going to be a huge boon in the future. I can see it making a lot of difference, rather than having to set timers. One of the problems with Brewfather is when your phone locks, you don't get those notifications. So it's great having a system that's going to come and just send you a message to the phone to say, hey, this is what's going on. And having the automation of the fermentation profile is great, because that means I don't have to actually be here to change from primary to secondary temperatures or then to cold crash. All I've got to do is be here to throw in the dry hops. I can really see this ecosystem expanding in the future, expanding into something that is going to make home brewing a lot more reliable and a lot easier. That's it for this video. Remember to click the like button and drop a comment down below if you've got any questions about RAPT or how it works or how you can get your profile set up. And remember to subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell so you find out when we release new content. I'm still carrying this cold a bit, so I'm not drinking at the moment, but virtual cheers.